this is really the first time that I ever heard this story. Yesterday, U.S. ship destroyer in the northern Arabian Sea was very much closely trailed and followed by the Russian ship, which was actually coming in close contact even up to the 16 yards. How can you believe it? The 16 yards is a very close vicinity. Yesterday it happened. The United States, officials right now released this video. The United States officials released this video. This actually, it comes from Pentagon. This video just being released at this moment to actually hit upon the show. The underneath the banner, it says that the Russia actually, experiences a very close encounter with the United States, ship destroyer by actually, coming into close vicinity because, there has been a actual conduct done by Russia. Because in the reason this is a troublesome area would be very sensitive in this time of the year with this many crises at this moment. But the problem is the Navy SEAL was yesterday present in the U.S. Navy ship destroyer because this is a very heavy battleship with the aircraft carrier called Harry Truman, named after the U.S. President Harry Truman. For that reason, the Navy SEAL was also present to protect the very guard ship of this Navy ship and aircraft carrier named Harry Truman to keep a close eye on it. The moment they actually this ship was conducting its own patrolling operation by actually, moving through and navigating through the northern Arabian Sea close to the Iranian Sea, then this somehow was approached by the Russian unidentified battleship. It was trailed by a Russian ship. And there was no immediate contact. However, it actually came really close to the vicinity within the 16 yards. This is really the major unit for marine traffic, right? I'm not really a genius who would actually know everything, but I know this is 16 yards, right? That very close contact. It's really kind of almost like a fender bender situation if you actually think of it on the road traffic circumstances, right? And yesterday, because of this heavy air flight carrier as a ship, right, that would actually provide in a taxiway by even hosting many different air fighter jets inside the ship. This aircraft carrier Harry Truman was yesterday guarded by the presence of the U.S. Navy SEALs, right? That's really the case. And in addition to that, they already actually sent out signals through the messenger talking by actually connecting to each other, because once the United States actually realized what's going on, they actually sent a message directly to them. Underneath the banner, it says that the U.S. Navy ship encounters such a close hand-clinging moment by having a standoff moment with Russia, by actually getting into contact with each other. That has been written, but the actual event was taking place yesterday, and a video actually just gets released by the Pentagon, and Barbara Starr, as a Pentagon reporter, makes one's own report right now. It's very interesting, because there has been no final moments, because there has been no immediate actual message, but the signals are actually being sent. The actual connection and communication was conducted through the signals by actually sending a back-to-back message to actually nudge and alert the Russian marine ship behind the back. But somehow after this very heavy communicative traffic, somehow Russian ship got backed off, or for whatever reason they decide to actually retreat themselves. Russian and the Navy forces somehow decided to turn themselves away from trailing the U.S. Navy ship, right? The U.S. Navy vessel was somehow released from the keep trailing by the Russian ship, which was in the very close proximity up to 60 miles in the marine traffic unit, right? This marine traffic distance unit, 60 yards, would actually be very close surrounding 16 yards, right? And that reflects, with very hand-cleaning and antsy-pantsy moments, given the belligerent atmosphere in the region to reflect the such in geopolitical instability in the northern Arabian Sea, in the Gulf Coast. Is really the case in the Gulf Coast and along the Gulf Coast. There has been such troublesome issues of putting the region on powder keg and tinderbox, right? That's what has been actually said. The United States actually decided to release this video by actually, pushing this issue. The video just actually in right now. The video has just been released. This actually just, been released. But the actual event had taken place yesterday. The video just actually gets released by Pentagon to sneak up on what Russia had done yesterday. This is really kind of saying that, hello, it's a tattletale. They actually say that Russia actually had done this for whatever reason, how aggressive Russia was. This kind of, just revealing the actual misconduct of the Russia by actually taking off the route of the U.S. Marine ship. Because a U.S. Navy vessel, which is called a naval vessel, which was used for aircraft carrier by hosting and housing jet campfight airplanes, right? I mean, yesterday, the very ship itself was an aircraft carrier. That means it houses many important campfighter jets, right? Campfighter jets and airplanes and aircraft for different purposes or airstrikes. For that reason, it was under the guidance of the Navy SEALs, Navy SEAL forces, right? Navy SEAL was attending to make sure the security in the case of the disruption or abrupt face-off with the foreign enemies. But somehow the Russian ship all of a sudden makes one's own trail by keeping up with or even closely tailing and following the US ship to come in a very close, unusual distance of 16 yards, right? That's what has been said. And this video just actually makes its own way to be released. She said that this video is just in. That means, at that quick moment, it's been released.